Hey there, today I am back with another roster from the three box challenge set by the roster doctor, aka Mark himself. And this time I am joined by Lexa from the Morlocks podcast. My name is Nate, and welcome to the Gamers Guild. And so, if you were not already familiar with the three box challenge, it is something that the roster doctor has set forth to myself and 14 other content creators to build a roster just from the core box and three additional expansion packs. So, that'll include all of our character selections, tactic card selections, and crisis selections. And today, as I have already mentioned, I am joined by Lexa.
Hello, how are you doing?
I am doing well. It is early, but I am waking up more and more.
Mm-hmm.
So, out of all of the rosters that I have got to talk about thus far, and really even just looked at thus far, you probably have one of the most interesting ones, especially at first glance, and then even more so once the strategy and idea behind it becomes more apparent. You want to give us a paragraph summary of what your thought process was, I guess.
Yes. Though I'm verbose, so this may not be a paragraph. Um, I am doing a style of team called Death and Taxes. It's named after an old Magic deck, and it's trying to tax your opponent and basically inconvenience them to do anything. In this case, inconvenience them to use the second half of their card. In that way, I went with the Loki box, the Groot box, and the Deadpool box. Those are my three core characters, along with the Mind Gem, which comes in the Loki box, making an 11-point core. Um, Loki has his God of Mischief, that all superpowers within four of him cost one more, or more specifically, you have to pay one to activate a superpower. It's important in the Blackwater matchup. Um, because it affects Thanos' gems still.
Hmm.
Um, Groot gives out Root, which is a very annoying special condition that does the exact same thing as God of Mischief, costs you one to use a superpower, but it stacks with God of Mischief, so you can start taxing people two for every superpower they use, which makes things really expensive really quick. And then Deadpool, the thing we aren't taxing are attacks. And some people just have really good spenders, so we're using Muck with a Mouse to spend 3 power to take 2 power off of a character that has a good spender, basically.
Absolutely. It's a really cruel list that I have flashbacks to when the Guardians just came out, and I had a couple of players who loved the Guardians and would bring Loki in for this double taxing effect into my Avengers, no less, who are a superpower centric team, and it hurt. It was bad.
Mm-hmm.
So you already mentioned that you have seven characters because that gym is also brought in. So you've got the full seven there. What
Mm-hmm.
about from the core box? Who were the three that squeaked in?
Baron Zemo, Doctor Octopus, and Red Skull.
Yeah, some solid options there. Whether it's Red Skull just giving you that affiliated choice because you do have Bob who is Cabal and
Mm-hmm.
then Loki himself is Cabal. Uh, Zemo probably the best core box character with
He's
a
certainly
nice.
up there.
Yeah, not with a nice little period there, and then Doc Ock's one of my favorite core box characters, who I think is underutilized, underrated, because he gets the power generation. He's pretty durable for a three threat.
Mm-hmm.
He has range. He's got some control with his throw. I'm a fan.
Yes. And specifically with the tactics card we will talk about later, he gets dumb.
uh, so that is your 10. And in this, because so many of the crisis cards that we're going to be playing with and against are from the core box, it's very important to have a good 17 threat list. What is your full 17 for most matchups at the moment?
Loki with the Mind Gem, Groot, Deadpool, Bob, Red Skull.
Very nice. Lets you really tip the balance in your favors because not only are you taxing and removing power,
Mm-hmm.
you're gaining it yourself with Red Skull and that affiliation, which is just gross.
Yep.
Awesome. So now looking at those tactic cards, you ended up doing a half and half split between ones brought in from your expansions and some from the core set.
Mm-hmm.
What are the ones that you ended up bringing from the core set?
Brace for Impact, Disarm, Cosmic Invigoration, and Trip Up.
Uh, all good and solid cards. It always warms my heart personally to see Disarm in a list because it's one of my favorites to advocate for.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Cosmic Invigoration, again, really solid. Why did you end up doing Cosmic Invigoration over Dark Rain, though?
It's because of the Cabal characters we're playing with. They don't have a lot of attack dice for the most part. They have really good attack dice in the case of Loki, but they don't have a lot of them. So getting the extra rerolls doesn't actually change the math of their attacks as much as an extra activation would change the state of the board, especially since these are a lot more control-y character, specifically with Loki, than attacky characters.
Yeah, and I really like that because of the characters that you're probably going to play the Cosmic Invigoration on. Loki being a 5 threat target just means it's extra value, and he would probably certainly more appreciate the Cosmic Invigoration over the Dark Rain. So I like that. And then Brace for Impact, always solid, always
Mm-hmm.
feels pretty nice, especially considering what it's able to accomplish in your list here.
Yeah, especially since those throws are going to be costing at minimum 3 to 4 power rather than 2 power. In my list.
Oh yeah, no, that's right because of the taxing effects. I
Hmm.
guess characters like Ronan and Thor can kind of get around it with a lucky wild or something like that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, again, just the power disparity from Brace for Impact is even bigger there.
Hmm.
So that is that half of your tactic cards. What about the other half?
I bought Deadly Duo, Dune Prophecy, We Are Groot, and Chimichangas.
All right, so three of them are character specific, and two of them are even in that core that you mentioned. So are you always going to be bringing the We Are Groot and Chimichangas?
I think We Are Groot is going to come up a lot. Just having
Hmm.
the extra healing is really good. I'm not as convinced on Chimichangas, but it was just a fun option to play with. I don't actually have ways to move it around, which is I think what's most powerful. Um, but it does do allows me to get off special conditions. So if I'm looking at a lot of special conditions that are going to be annoying for me, say someone brings out a demon downtown or something, Chimichangas is definitely a card that I'm bringing in.
Yeah, uh, Deadly Duo, the third one, which doesn't seem like it'll come up as often in your 17 threat games at the very least. But I guess if the point totals get weird and it goes either higher or you go unaffiliated, uh, it's just such a powerful card.
Exactly.
Which leads us to the last option, your other restricted card, Doom Prophecy. Which I mean, you don't have like the typical War Machine or Black Widow synergy going on there.
Mm-hmm.
What's the thought process behind Doom Prophecy instead of something like Patch Up for your other restricted slot?
Uh, Dune Prophecy is much more fun.
That's true.
Um, but also we have Deadpool who has his bang attacks that can get multiple attacks out in a single action, especially with Red Skull leadership, where you're suddenly getting power off of those attacks. That can be really devastating. And we have, and so it was just like, it's a card for my pack, so I was like, I kind of want to play this anyway, and it led me to pick Doc Ock as one of my picks for if I need a second fighty threat. Um,
Yeah.
because as soon as you put Doom Prophecy on Doc Ock, his basic attacks suddenly start dealing out an average of like 5.5 damage, which is a lot, especially for a builder.
Yeah, because it boosts him from 4 to 8 dice because he's got that nice chunky 4 physical defense, and then his wilds count as 2 successes, and he can just start going off from there.
Yep.
And then, of course, obviously, Deadpool. It's not quite the consistency of Widow's rapid fire shenanigans, but bang, 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 bang. If you're able to get through that full chain, I can only imagine you've got a dazed character on the other end of that.
Yes. Though you have to do it like you're playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Bang! Bang bang! Bang bang bang!
Awesome. So those are the tactic cards.
Mm.
Are there five that kind of stand out as like, hey, this will be if you have that core of 17? What are the five tactic cards you probably end up bringing?
Uh Brace for Impact, Cosmic Invigoration, We Are Groot. And then I have two floating that can do what I need in the matchup. And the one we didn't really talk about specifically, but the one I think I'm going to actually end up pulling out most often is Trip Up.
Ooh.
Um, because we have a lot of long range attack. I have enough long range attackers that I can attack into um, a character that is in melee combat with another one of my characters that I can play this. And then
Hmm.
stun and stagger are two really powerful conditions, especially since I'm already taxing your power usage. Suddenly, also taxing your power gain is insane.
Yep. And so I guess while looking at the tactic cards, and there's another guy who loves his own tactic cards and could possibly kind of fit into your overall strategy here, and that is Mr. Sinister. And since you're kind of already doing the Cabal thing, he's affiliated. Did he ever was he on the whiteboard at one point or another when you were building this list and just ended up getting crossed?
He I did not heavily look at any of the one character lists because I thought the two character packs were going to be much more valuable overall.
Hmm.
Um, and then if I'm doing this to Sinister, I'm looking at cloning bank shenanigans, and I would already be bringing in my only 2-pointer because I don't think there's a value in bringing in a 2-point Black Widow
Hmm.
off of cloning banks. Like, I could see it with Rocket Raccoon if I was also playing that. But if I were to replace one of the packs with a Mr. Sinister, it would be that Groot Rocket pack because they are the redundant space. They give out the root condition. Um, and losing that extra 2-pointer that I could cloning banks out also kind of disincentivizes me from playing because that means you have to go for a 3, which is way later into the game. Um, it just there were a lot of annoyances with him, and I can definitely see someone who much prefers Mr. Sinister who will do a version of this list that is playing Mr. Sinister instead of Groot Rocket. But just personally, this is the way I wanted to go about
I'm looking at you, Josh, calling you out, Merzane. All right, cool.
it.
And it makes sense. It throws off the threat math and a lot of other things for what you're already trying to do. And yeah, a one character pack, unless they bring a whole lot of uh, synergy or specific reason that you were getting that pack, it's hard to do when you only have 3 boxes to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with that, we look at your crisis cards, and from the characters that you brought, you didn't get to the option to bring in any additional ones.
Nope.
But because you have such a solid core 17, I guess there's not a whole lot of reason that you would want to deviate from it in the first place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I guess then you've got the core extracts and the core secures. Of those, do you have any that you would rather not play on, or any that you are trying to specifically get for yourself?
I'd rather not play on a Infinity Formula.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like that and Struggle for the Cube are both ones that kind of that they don't completely nullify, but they at least help offset your entire kind of game plan and strategy of what you're
Yeah.
trying to do.
Cube I am less worried about because then I can flip that switch into the like Zemo Doc Ock plan
Hmm.
when I'm very aggro and that damage off of the cube is helping me out in that regard. But it's still not preferred of the extracts I'm looking at spider infected.
Hmm. That all makes sense. So I guess in that case, is there anyone secure between the deadly meteors and the riot spark that stands out as the better option for you?
Deadly meteors. Just because Loki does so well on the pay to flips, because he can walk up, even double walk, mind jump someone off the point, and then have an unopposed flip with a 3 roll.
Yeah, there's everything that this list loves about that. Loki, it makes people kind of gather to his bubbles more than you would see
Mm-hmm.
on Riot Spark. It's a secure that people are having to spend power on, which just again just broadens the gap in power generation between the two teams.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it's a very nice synergy that you have
Mm-hmm.
going on, and I don't want to say mean things about it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that is all I have question wise. Are there any unseen strategies or thoughts that you would like to share before we exit out?
No, I think most of my thoughts, if they aren't laid out here, are laid out in my article, which I do highly recommend people check out.
Absolutely. And that is something I totally mentioned the first time, but not the second time, because my computer, for those listening in, totally shut down and restarted. So, yes, go to Across the Bifrost and you can find Lexa's article there about everything that her thought process and everything else. If you want to get some extra insights, or if you're her opponent and just trying to find any and extra bit of knowledge information, I guess, that you can out of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I
but
am less convinced than the rest of this field about how broken this list is, but I am very excited to see who's right.
yeah, it's one of those as a web warrior player, a team that's already kind of power hungry slash power starved. It's definitely a list that like I'm really not looking forward to playing into. But then there's other teams like I guess Sooners, Sam Spam, who aren't as super power focused. So
Yeah.
he's a little bit more resilient to it, I guess.
And then I my first week I'm playing up against a potential Asgard list, which is going to be real interesting because they have the extra power gen that can get over the top of. It will still be annoying for them, but it's a lot less annoying for them because they have the extra power gen to go over the top of my taxation.
Hmm. Makes sense. Looking forward to seeing how that all pans out.
Mm-hmm.
But in addition to writing articles for Across the Bifrost or on Across the Bifrost, I don't know exactly the right terminology there.
Mm-hmm.
You have your own wonderful podcast that I've got to be on in the past. Would you mind talking about that some?
Yes, I have the Morlocks podcast, which is a Let's Experiment podcast about trying to find new homes for the lost and forgotten characters of Marvel Crisis Protocol. We take the lesser used characters and try and find new places and new fun lists to use them in.
Absolutely. So if you've got that one character who you don't think sees quite enough love, there's probably a podcast that is building around that character, and it's a lot of fun, just as a good exercise for your roster construction, as well as just a fun time getting to
Mhm.
build those kind of lists and stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that is all I have for today. To everybody listening slash watching, thank you so much for tuning in and checking this out. If you want to find out more about this roster building challenge and why I think it is a great, essentially slow grow league for Marvel Crisis Protocol, there will be a video and a thumbnail here at the end in just a few moments after I shut up and stop talking. That I highly recommend watching because I do think that this is going to be a great tool for the community to use going forward to help grow, especially as fingers crossed the pandemic is continuing to go away. So, thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep keep on gaming.